Hi, I am Mike Sham from the State of the Nation, and I have to comment on the vote that took place recently in Parliament when the ANC majority decided to vote against allowing the report by the Parliamentary Committee into the PHALA PHALA robbery incident. Let's just discuss what happened there, right? And what this was about. What were these people voting about? Basically, it's this. Parliament had decided that some independent panel should see whether it's worth investigating Cyril Ramaphosa and the so-called PHALA PHALA scandal, in which money was stolen, foreign exchange regulations were flouted, probably VAT wasn't paid, who knows what happens with the accounting, all the things that you and I would get arrested for tomorrow. We'd have people knocking at our door, we'd have a stop on our bank account if we had to do it. But basically, Parliament said to the special committee, said, please go and investigate it. And investigate they did, not with all of the information, because our president has been extremely limited with the information he's given, and he hasn't taken the country into their confidence. This little group of three eminent people said, there is more to celebrate, there is more to go and investigate. And they then presented the report, and then these delegates in Parliament had to vote as to whether this investigation should be done, should go a little bit deeper. Now, I think we've got to understand why the majority of the ANC in Parliament voted against the motion of having this investigation done further. There's two reasons. The first reason is something that I've mentioned before. The ANC runs pretty much like the Catholic Church runs. It's a group, a band of brothers, and you will not be responsible for the investigation of your peer. Just like the church wouldn't investigate priests, even when they had violated the most vulnerable people in their care, children. The church at that time couldn't bring themselves to get together and condemn that. So the ANC couldn't bring itself to say, one of ours has done wrong, it needs investigation. They just cannot bring themselves to be accountable. So that's in their DNA, that ain't going to change. And that was a very easy thing to convince the comrades within the ANC to do. The second thing that you've got to understand is that this was a dress rehearsal for the ANC's elective conference, which is going to happen at Nasrec. And it was an undeniable show of force by Cyril Ramaphosa and his handlers within the party. Now just remember, this is a president who offered to resign. He doesn't even want to stand anymore. He doesn't have the stomach for it. He wants out. If you were a billionaire, would you want to be president of the country where everybody dives into your affairs? He says he's a farmer. He doesn't say he's president. If you go look at his Twitter information, he puts himself first as leader of the ANC first and then leader of the country second. This is a guy who doesn't want to be president of the country. But his handlers need him to be there because they understand without him, they are not going to get the nice perks that they've got now. So they went along in a show of force and said, you will support the president by voting this down. So in essence, it had very little to do with the facts. It had absolutely nothing to do with accountability to the people of South Africa, and only a self-preservation strategy by the bulk of the ANC people. If you look closely at how the voting went, you will see that a handful of MPs decided to vote in favor of a further investigation, but all of those people are dead men walking. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Mosebenzi Zwane, Bongani Bongo. These are people who are going to get fired once Cyril wins in Nasrec in the elective conference. In other words, this was just a stand. This was also them trying to signal that they're up for the fight. But I think that the show of force proves to us that Cyril Ramaphosa is going to get his way in Nasrec. And he won. But never ever forget that the real issue at hand was the issue of should somebody who looks like he's done something wrong be accountable to the people of South Africa? And the ANC has voted overwhelmingly to say no, it's about our own interests and not about what's best for the country. So let's hope that all South Africans remember this when we go and vote in 2024. When given the choice between saving the ANC and saving the country, they didn't even think twice, and they voted for the lack of accountability. And please, we can only pray that this costs them in the polls come general election 2024.